What's going on, everyone? Isaiah Henry, First Position Real Estate here. Caught you guys on a little bit of early one today, but that's awesome. We have on Ron Christopher today, so that's going to be an awesome live. I just wanted to let everyone know that I am hosting a live in-person real estate event. It's Sunday, September 25th. It's called the Rookie Real Estate Investment Workshop. It's going to be a sweet event. We got some special guests that are going to show up. We have some in-person stuff, a little bit of giveaways, some goodies, like lots of good stuff there. If you're interested in the event, I'd love to have you out. You can DM me directly. I can send you all the info, or you can also jump up to my bio. There is a link up there, and you can go ahead and register for the event. While you're there, check out the promo video your boy got on camera. So it's always a funny time there. But yes, we have Ron coming on in a sec, so we'll get him going in just a little bit. What's going on to everybody joining? Da 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 da. Boom. Okay. Excited. Hey, there he is, Big Ron in the building.
What's going on? What's going on, my G?
Chilling, man. Chilling, bro. I'm telling you, everyone I bring on this is trying to rival my beard. It's getting out of control.
Bro, I'm trying to cut it down so you could have the crown.
I tell you, it's a little bit of work. Like, it's fun for the first little bit, and then you're like, bro,
Yeah,
this is getting a little bit of work.
it's a lot of work to maintain. So I'm just like, keep it a bit short. I don't have to clip the ends every time, and like the once you get those dead ends, it's like, man, it's a lot of
It,
work. So
it's terrible. I
it's
know. I'm going
terrible.
through it. I'm going through it
Yeah,
just now. But hey,
yeah.
so excited to have you here. Welcome to the First Position Real Estate Show. I've been following you, and I know a lot about your story. But why don't you give everyone
hmm
a 30-second rundown of what Big Ron's doing?
For sure. So as my name says, hey, I'm Ron. I work with the city of Toronto. I do real estate on the side for now until, I build up myself to go full time. But I started in real estate about 2 years ago, so 2020 during the pandemic, much like a lot of other people. Just started that and, built up a nice little portfolio and looking to really just like double down on real estate and, build out an active side of the business and just, increase my income stream. So that's really what I have going on right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're also doing a little bit into the community, getting out there. I see the kind of content you're
hmm
putting out. You have a
Absolutely.
podcast as well. We're going to touch on
hmm
that at the end. So that's awesome there. Ron, I got three questions for you. If you're cool with it, I'm just going to jump in.
For sure. Let's do it.
Awesome, man. So a big part of like what you're doing and how you're able to scale, so you said, is you did the multifamily thing. So why do you
hmm
think multifamily real estate is so powerful as opposed to, single family or condo investing?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, single family, it's the profile there is just one tenant, family, whatever. Um, it's good on the management side. You don't have a lot going on there, but once that income goes, then you have to figure out how do I fill this vacancy. If anything goes wrong, uh, frankly, if this tenant stop paying, you're screwed, especially in Ontario. So
Yeah.
forget it. You're gonna cut your losses. You're gonna be frustrated. You know what I'm saying? So I think multifamily just provides just more cash flow. So more units equals more cash flow, but even more so, you're not worried about just one unit, right? So it's way easier to scale if you're it's the same amount of energy you put in to get a single family home, just a few extra steps on the multifamily side, but yeah, same amount of energy it would take to get a multifamily building. So it makes more sense to have more units under one roof and to scale up from there.
No, you make a lot of great points there. And I'll be honest, like I started in single family. I started a few years ago, similar to when you did. And, I thought, oh, yeah, just get a bunch of singles. But then you start to see your economies of scale doesn't work. Like one property manager for one house, it's the same work. Why don't I get that property manager to manage one house with three of them in it? Same thing when I write an offer, it's one offer, but I'm getting one unit versus, one offer and you're getting two, three, four, five units, right? So it's just
Yeah.
the economies of scale, being able to work more efficiently, and kind of grow that way. Another question I've actually got from another investor is people like, oh, I don't want to spend money on the price. Would you mind commenting on like the price between a single family and then a multifamily in the same area?
Yeah, usually because again, a single family is much more desirable. So you would see in most cases, unless it's like, like a 6 unit building or a 10 unit building, you see that huge gap. But a single family usually costs a lot more in terms of value
Yeah,
wise. For a multifamily unit, yeah, you're not, and again, it depends on how much units you're looking at. You no longer have to pay attention to comparables, right? That's one thing I like. Like once you start getting to 6 units and above, you start taking on that income approach where it's valued as a business, right? So based on your NOI, once you increase those numbers, you instantly build equity that way just by increasing your net operating income. So that means that could be like, increasing the rent, turning over a unit, whatever that looks like. Once you increase that number, you instantly increase the value of that property. So that's one of the things that I like about multifamily.
yeah, and I feel that's the biggest driver, like especially getting into the multifamily space when you said you're getting away from comparables because, I sell mine for $100, you have to sell yours for $100. But when we're in multi, even if I sell mine for 100, if you're running your multifamily business better than I am with higher
Absolutely.
income and lower expenses, your value, it's not 100 just because mine was. Now yours is 2, 3, 400 because you're operating that business or multifamily property so much better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right there.
I'm telling you, multifamily, it's going to be a game changer there.
It is.
Second question I have for you here. What's one thing that you've learned that has served you better when starting your career? Because I know you're in that, between 0 and 5 year into the business. So what's one big thing that you've had that really has sparked your mind into learning a little bit more about real estate or why it's such a powerful asset class?
Leverage for me.
Ooh.
That's the biggest thing. Just being able to bring, 20% towards that asset. The bank's taking on more risk, but that allows me to scale even further because, even though they bring 80% of the money, that 20% still allows me to gain some sort of return on that money, and I'm allowed to scale up even further. Another thing that I learned, and it's not touched on a whole lot. Usually, we see, you know, um, real estate glorified, like the next big thing or the it thing. I think we're not told or not sold on first start increase, think about increasing your income. I think income is so underrated. I wish that's something that I focused on, and now I'm really starting to focus on building building up my income. And
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean more income streams, because I think that's a fallacy where you have to have 7 income streams, or that thing is thrown around like the average millionaire. I don't think necessarily think so. I think if we go deeper on what we have currently
Yeah.
and just increase our income. So if that means getting into another role, a different job, but just really looking to increase our income, that would help us along our investing journey, because like things break, things happen. You know what I mean? Like I just completed a renovation. Now I have to figure out issue in a basement with water. So you know what I mean? Like things happen, right? So I think that income piece is underrated, and I really think that's something I usually, like, when anyone comes to me and asks, what should I do with this amount of money? I'm like, figure out a way to double that, and learn a skill. Really
Yeah.
important. Learn a skill, double down on that, go deeper on that, and increase your income.
Man, I think you hit it on the head there, and I feel this is something that's not talked about, especially in our community. Like, the amount of people that come up to me and they always give that sec, oh, I want to invest with zero money down. I want to do all these creative strategies. I said, yeah, like it's possible, but that's not like the goal. The goal isn't to have $0 and try and buy real estate. That's in my opinion, it's an advanced strategy that you can use to be creative. It doesn't mean you have no money. It just means
Hmm.
you're not using your money to put into deals because people come to me and they're like, hey, I want to invest in a 10 unit building, but I don't want to put any money out and I have no money to my name. I was like, dude, you need to go back to work. Like, what are you messing around trying to buy a 10 unit building? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
So I feel
I
you killed it with that. Sorry,
Yeah,
go on,
I
go on.
think no, I'm saying I think they don't realize that that takes skill. So whoever did that and they saw that, they actually invested in themselves to gain that skill for in order for them to do that. So I think usually again we glorify that. We don't really get into the nitty-gritty of like, okay, well, it took me time for me to understand this strategy. I had to invest in myself. That's a new skill that I learned. And now I'm able to, I'm so valuable, like, you know what I mean? People throwing money at me, right? But you had to develop that skill, whether it was time
100%.
or money, right? So,
Yeah, I think, yeah, and I think that's a very important point, and it's not spoken enough. So I'm glad you brought that up. One thing I just wanted to rewind and visit back to, you talked about leverage. For those of like, I understand the concept. For those people who are going to view this and don't, would you mind just touching in what leverage does, and maybe how you've used it in one of your deals?
yeah, leverage is just so just using something in order to scale and get more of whatever you're trying to achieve, right? So for me, I was able to leverage my first investment property to get my second. So again, I think everybody rode that wave of the past 2 years or whatever, right? Where value skyrocketed. So, just being able to tap into equity and being able to turn that initial investment that I made and turn that into I can't remember how much equity now, but that like 10x, you know what I mean?
100%.
Or,
And
or
that's why I
5x or 5x or whatever. But that was exponential growth from just one initial investment, right? So that's what leverage has allowed me to achieve. And more so even because we're touching on skills, like the amount of skills that I've learned,
yeah,
right? So it's not only like money in my pocket or equity or whatever, just the kind of skills that I've learned along the way, like negotiating and turning over units and negotiating with tenants and that kind of stuff. Being able to build a social media presence, branding,
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like it just allowed me to build a lot of these skills. So again, leverage is not just it's multifaceted. It's not just one thing where okay, money, equity. It's encompassing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's I love the way you think about it, like leverage like as per like, finances on real estate, but as well as leveraging like the skills you're getting to bid you farther ahead, right? Everyone thinks it's just about acquiring it. I'm like, no, no, like it's the person that you start to turn into while you're acquiring this stuff. That's the missing piece that a lot of people don't see
Hmm.
there. But
Absolutely.
yeah, let's get to the final question.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the Black Wealth Effect podcast. What's going on there, man?
Black Wealth Effect podcast. So, the name is explicit there.
Yeah,
Wealth, but we're trying to highlight black wealth, right?
yeah,
Um, so for me, I'm an immigrant. I feel like everyone could tell just by my accent. Came here, had to really grind and hustle and figure out life as a young man coming here. And really, I had high aspirations of, doing what I'm doing now. So coming from nothing to like really building to what I have now and, beyond. And just walking through some of these doors, being in some of these rooms, not seeing a lot of people that look like me,
mm,
right? And you, right?
yeah.
So I'm like, where are all the other people that look like me? And I realized that there's a huge gap, within our community with the knowledge and, you know, getting to where we want to get to. So I really think financial literacy, you know, is still taboo, and I really wanted to be a part of that change. So, me and my partner, my co-host, we really thought that, now is an opportune time to really double down on that and really push and create that community and push
Yeah.
the narrative that, financial literacy, it's cool. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know everything, but I figured it out and I aligned myself with the people who knew. But I also want to inspire as well because I didn't see a lot of, especially on the Canadian side, you don't really see a lot of that, right? A lot of us trying to come together as a community and push that narrative that we can achieve much more if we're all in this as a community. So yeah, that's how it really came about. It's really just a highlight a lot of people who are successful or who are on their journey and making waves, making moves like yourself. Like we just try to highlight, us as Black people, and that not us exclusively, but
Yeah.
a lot of our friends who are doing it too that don't look like us. We want to hear their story as well because everyone would have had a struggle at some point. So, it's really just highlighting all of that, packaging it, and inspiring that next generation, or could be older too, but just being an inspiration.
100%. And I think like what you guys are doing there is so important. It's so needed. Like a big like initiative in like my business is like I'm really passionate about like my co-op program, like giving back to students and working with them in that effect.
Hmm.
But being able to like specifically because you said like it's explicit, like some people don't like to talk about it or bring up race. I'm like, no, like let's say it the way it is. There's a gap here. Like I'm not the smartest person. I'm not like, oh, I figured this thing out. Like I just happen to put myself in situations where I learned this. So this information
Hmm.
should be to everyone. It's not like it's exclusive to me or to you, but the fact that it's not, and like you said, you've been in rooms, you've sat down, and you look around, you're like, man, there's not a lot of people who look like me, but I'm not doing anything that's different than what they're doing. So there's that gap, and
Absolutely.
you've been able to identify it, and I think that is so powerful. And that's why I'm so supportive. I love what's going on. As soon as I seen you guys were starting to do that, I was like, that's it. That's exactly what they need. So, shout out to the Black Wealth Effect podcast. Like anytime I can support that, I definitely will, which would be awesome there.
Appreciate. Shout
Yeah,
out to you, man. You've been really pushing us forward. I see you sharing us a lot, so shout out to you as well,
no
and
problem. Hey, I'm
everyone
gonna
who's
share.
who's doing that too.
Good stuff, man. I'm gonna share it till my fingers fall off there. Anyway, that's all for me wrapped up. Any questions on your end before we wrap this thing up today?
Yeah, I'm keen to know, a little bit about your backstory. Like
Yeah.
you seem very passionate about what you're doing in the real estate space, fitness and all that stuff. I've been following you as well. So like, yeah, like share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man, for sure. So, I guess my thing was, so I went to Laurier. I was actually fortunate. I was a dual athlete at Laurier. Played. I originally went on a rugby scholarship. Stuff happened with my coach. I ended up playing football my last 2 years, and that was awesome. I got a degree when I was there, but I was there to play sports. But that was great. So I do that. I finish. I come out of school. I get into law enforcement. I'm like, okay, sick. I went to school like they told me. I got a job like they told me and I'm not in debt. So I'm good. Like I should be winning at life. And then I looked around, I'm like, whoa, this is not it. Like this is not, I'm not at the top. Like I'm not where I want to be. Like there's so much more I have to do to just like kind of stay afloat. I'm like, this can't be it.
Hmm.
And I was just kind of looking at other things. And I've always been a serial entrepreneur. Like I've tried so many different entrepreneurial stuff. And we can go through the list of all the failed things I've done. I tried everything and it just didn't stick. And there's either like get rich quick or get rich never. And there's a lot of like trial and error and stuff
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I stumbled upon real estate and I was like, man, this can't be it. Like there's no way. I kind of learned a little bit more about it, dove into some like crazy YouTube holes and then I said, I'm sold. I was still living with my parents at the time, walked
Right.
downstairs. I said, Mom, Dad, I am going to buy a condo tomorrow. And they said, what? And I said, yep, I'm going to buy a condo tomorrow. It was like a new build condo in Toronto. So whatever, I drive up to the place. I put the money down and I'm like, cool, I guess we're in this. Now, again, I wouldn't always recommend condos for my first, but again, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
That was my first
Absolutely.
investment. Started learning more, started getting into, some flips, some bursts, some wholesale, and like understanding the power of real estate and what it can do. And, now I'm at the point where I'm creating a business where there's like different facets. Like, I'm bringing people in, we're investing in different areas. We have like, private lending stream. We have a scholarship fund. We have a co-op program. There's lots of stuff that's going on here. And, one day we have our workshop September 25th. Come on out.
Yeah, yeah.
We have all this different stuff coming around. So it's really cool to see that, you can build a future for yourself. Like it's not like you don't have to go to school, get the job, and sit there till you're 65 and hope your pension's enough. I thought that was the line. I thought that was like if you could do that, like you win. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
what? There's other options. So I was able to see those other options, and now I'm just passionate about getting everything in here into everybody else I can get out there.
That's a cool story, man. I think that a lot of us could resonate with that. For me as well, like, you're sold like, yo, you like your pension's good. Like I remember having that conversation with a coworker. So I told him, what I was doing because I was on the phone all day. I was trying to something was wrong with the unit or something. So I
Yeah.
was on the phone all day and he realized it. So I told him what I was doing. And he's like, man, like, you sure you want to give up your pension? I was mind blown. I'm like, bro, did you hear a word that I just said?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, he's worried about, I'm like, I'm not touching a pension till I'm like 60. What the hell
Yeah.
do I care? You get what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of us are sold on that and we can't fathom, doing anything else, right? Like these things are too complex for a lot of us. And I
Yeah.
really just, you know, I want to make it my mission to simplify it and show them like,
Mm.
listen, like there are options. Like you don't have to, especially with my job, like, I feel like I'm sleeping with a lot, I take on a lot. So like, there's a better way, there's a better option, So
That's
I feel
awesome.
like
That's
that,
yeah.
yeah.
That's amazing. That there, yeah, I feel like man, there's so much like good stuff kind of coming down the pipe with that. It's amazing there. But in respect to everyone's time, I want to wrap this up. But Ron, where can people find more about you if they want to, find the podcast, find more about you, learn about what you're doing in your business? Where can they get in contact?
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the best way. Everything there's a link in my bio, so there's a lot of other links in there where you could reach out, get in contact with me, see what I'm up to. I just try to display everything that I'm doing through Instagram, so you could check that out, check out my feed, and see what I'm up to. And yeah, just reach out. Don't be afraid. I would love to connect with you.
That's awesome. All right, you heard it here first. It's at Ron.Christopher, right?
Ron.investor.
Ron.investor. So go follow my
Yes,
boy. Go check out
yes,
the Black Wealth Effect podcast. My guy's doing
for,
big things over there.
for
Just to
sure.
wrap it up here, Isaiah Henry, First Position Real Estate. We had on Ron today. Shared a lot about what he's going on, kind of his mission to inspire those in our community as well as his success in real estate investing. Ron, I wanted to thank you so much for joining us here and to everyone else. Yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks so much for coming, Ron.
Appreciate you, brother. Take
Take care,
care.
bro.